Hi, everybody. My name is Jason.
I'm Caden.
I'm Jaden.
I'm Eli.
And we are the Yahuwah and the Torah channel, and we thank you guys very, very much for joining us. We are the family who believes that the laws, statutes, and commandments that are found in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy are the true test of time. They are the rules and the guidelines and the commandments that we live by, that we bring our life to, that we are trying to encourage all of you guys to seek and to find. And those commandments are the life. And that doesn't take away from our Messiah. And a lot of people have been steeped into a religion where they only have a Messiah and they don't have a set of guidelines. And that is an extremely dangerous place to be when you read scriptures, because Messiah himself says that a lot of people won't make it. In fact, he tells people that he will tell them to depart from him because they work iniquity, which is lawlessness. And you do not know what iniquity is unless you read the scriptures. The scriptures defines what sin is. Sin is iniquity. And so without the scriptures, we don't have any of that. And so we've been provided with all of this all of our lives. And we've also been provided with free will, that we are able to make a choice whether we want to follow our Creator and be a child of the Most High, or whether we want to be the children of the devil. And the children of the devil don't keep the Torah. They don't keep Shabbat. They don't keep the Father's ways. And so we are those people. Okay, so let us begin. We are deep into, not actually deep into it, but we're into chapter 3 of the books. I still don't even know what this is actually called, this book. It's the what it was named is the books of the Natsarim and the Enlightened one. And I don't even know what that's called, but we will continue and we'll call it that. Okay, chapter 3. Coming from the wilderness, Yahushua still retained the full power of the Ruach HaKodesh, having it on trusteeship from Elohim. He would not use it unworthily. At night it shone around him like a pale blue haze, and though many have it, never has another manifested it in such strength. 2 followers of Yochanan, the forerunner, one being Andrew, the brother of Shimon, were sent by him to be with Yahushua and accompanied him to the Galilean Sea of the Gentiles. Early in the morning, Andrew sought out his brother and said, "We have found the deliverer." But at the time, Shimon thought another was meant. When Yahushua had known Shimon, for 2 days he said, "You are strong, silent, and steady, one likely to be ever steadfast in conflict. Therefore you shall be called Kepha," the meaning, the rock, in the tongue of the Gentiles. And from that day, Kepha became a follower of Yahushua. Passing along the shore, they came upon the tower of fishermen, and a boat was being unloaded by its owners. One who accompanied Yahushua said, "Those are good men known to me." Then Yahushua spoke to them while sharing a meal, and later said, "Fishing is a good life, but there is a better one. Follow me, and you will become fishers of men." So placing their boat in the keeping of others, they followed Yahushua. All right, so this gives us a lot more details, right? Because, when we read this before,
It sounds like they're still in the boat. Like they ran out of the boat.
they jumped out of the boat and they left their boat in there. But this tells us a lot of details that we never, ever had before. Things like this. And I guess it's not important knowing details that they just didn't leave their boat in the middle of the ocean.
And now we get where because his name was Shimon Bar Yonah, we get how his name came to be
Kepha
or
rock.
Peter.
Right.
And it makes sense now how he got that name.
Yeah, these are definitely these are questions I guess we should have is why did this get taken out of scriptures again?
Also like a glow stick apparently at night. He just sits there and glows.
Yeah, glow stick at night. Yeah, and I mean we knew this from Moshe, that he was had the glory of Yah in the Ruach HaKodesh on him. Okay, 6. At this time Yahushua spoke with caution, for the people still recalled Yahuda, the Galilean, who had smitten the Romans in battle. Are we talking about? I think he's talking about Yehuda Maccabee. That's who he's talking about.
I think so.
Yahushua was a man of long silences, and many thought him strange. But he taught all along the shore of the Galilean Sea and called others to follow him. They worked wherever they could. For Yahushua said, "What we offer is not to be sold like a common chattel, and we will not take anything without giving value in return." Okay, let's talk about what he just said right here. He taught. This is an interesting statement here. They worked wherever they could, for Yahushua said, "What we offer is not to be sold like a common chattel, and we will not take anything without giving value in return." This reminds me of the criminal enterprise known as the Hallelujah Scriptures, where they have for 13 years been stealing a tremendous amount of money off of people. And they have been selling this, right? They've been selling the word like common chattel or whatever that is. I don't know what common chattel is. But that's what Messiah just talks about right here, is that this gift of knowledge, this gift of understanding, this gift of the Ruach HaKodesh, this gift of our Messiah and the gift of his dad giving us a road forward, it can be sold. This cannot ever be sold. And it's very, very wrong that people are attempting to sell salvation, attempting to sell our Creator, and attempting to put him in a book. And, this is why they got judged like they're being judged. 7. He healed many, saying, "It is not I, but the power from above with me." Some of the disciples said, "It is truly he who heals." But he did not cure all, for in some it created disturbance, while many were not cured because this would have done them more harm than good. I found that also very interesting.
Whatever they had, maybe like being healed to make them worse. I don't know.
No, it would be that their faith or their like they would jump around and go, well, it wasn't Elohim that cured me. It was just some guy or something. Whatever it was that they were in that state, it would have made it far worse, whether their soul was in more of a danger or whatever it was. But it's very interesting that of all the times we heard Messiah healing people, we didn't hear a lot about him not healing people. And so this is the first time that we've heard this, that not everybody was healed, and that there was a reason for this. Okay, 10. When asked, "How do you heal?" Yahushua replied, "By the finger of Elohim." This is what the prophets had said regarding these things. These are the words of Yahuwah. "I will restore you to health and heal your wounds. Be strong of heart and courageous, neither afraid nor dismayed, for I am with you always." Very good words. About this time, the disciples questioned Yahushua concerning the world of Ruach, wherein lay the kingdom of heaven. And he said, "It is like a flight of stairs leading from cellar to roof. They who enter the house are given a place on the stairs, and may step downwards and back, but never up. Though the stair above is not unknown to them, those on the top stair are in glorious sunshine." Hold on. Sorry, everybody. Those are what 10 pit bulls unleashed sounds like, and we're still having some issues. Jade, will you please put your hand behind him and pet him? Okay. "Those on the top stair are in glorious sunshine, while those at the bottom are in darkness and gloom." Okay, and because of this disruption, I want to go back to that. And it says that Messiah is talking about this. "It is like a flight of stairs leading from cellar to roof. They who enter the house are given a place on the stairs and may step downwards and back, but never up. Though the stair above is not unknown to them. Those on the top stair are in glorious sunshine, while those at the bottom are in darkness and gloom."
So it's like, I think it's like the thing of once saved, always saved, right? Like you believe in Messiah Yahushua, you are living the life, but you can fall off the path. You can't end up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't end up at the bottom of the stairs.
Pet him, please, Jaden. Okay, yeah, you can absolutely fall off the path, and I think a lot of it is the once saved, always saved, and that is the doctrine of the Christians, and that is what people will say is you raise your hand at 8 years old, and you can never ever have salvation taken away from you. Yet in scriptures all over and over and over, it clearly says that people that were good end up becoming bad, and they don't make the kingdom to come. Okay, 12. A disciple said, "Many who do not come mock your words." Yahushua replied, "Dogs bite stones, not those who throw them." Thoughts on that? What are you talking about? We know that dogs.
Stones.
We know that dogs eat rocks.
Yeah,
our dogs eat rocks. Yeah, and we don't know why they eat rocks, but they sit there and chew on rocks, and their teeth are going to fall out. So we're always pulling rocks out of their mouths. But why don't they? I mean, dogs. We had our dog bite the guy that. You remember that guy that tossed that rock at Rock? Yeah. He wanted to bite him.
Yeah.
I mean, Rock didn't want to bite the rock. He wanted to bite the guy that threw the rock at him. I'm not sure what he means by that.
I don't understand that. It's like,
but I mean, the question was, many who do not come
they
mock your words.
His words could be considered rocks, right? He's throwing rocks.
Oh,
right?
That's true.
They're mocking his words, right? They're making fun of what he says, and I think back in the day there was some tastier rocks or something.
Right. So they're biting the stones that he's throwing, and they're not biting the dog, is what I think he's saying. Okay, 13. Someone asked, "Are you the hammer of Elohim? For all yearn for Elohim's intervention. And when that comes, we'll rejoice, saying, this is the day of Yahuwah for which we have long waited." Yahushua answered, "There is a time for sowing and a time for reaping, everything to its appointed time." Yahushua gathered his followers around him and taught as follows. These days are a night of ignorance, when all is dark. But I am the light, which will dispel the darkness. My light will light your lamps, and you too will become bearers of the light. I am the light to point the way, and none can find the way to Yahuwah except by the light. I come to testify concerning the Father. For those following my way see Elohim in the light of the Father. Does not a father chastise in love and punishment with affection? Does he not give you tasks only just within your power of accomplishment? Even as with an earthly father, so with the heavenly Father, who is infinitely greater. Being flesh, we understand earthly ways, but the ways of Yahuwah may also be known and understood, for his Ruach resides in all men. So this is big stuff, right? I mean, this is telling us, this is from the mouth of the Messiah, stuff that, we don't know, right?
He said basically we have the power to understand Elohim. We have the power to understand what is there because we have been given the spirit of Elohim, which means you can't say on the day of judgment that ignorance, you didn't know what was going on. Yahushua clearly says here that you have the power to know what is true and what is not.
Yeah, if you're seeking truth, the truth will be found. But if you're not seeking truth, don't expect to find anything. Okay, be upright in faith yourselves, and teach uprightness and truth. Fear no man, especially the rich and powerful, for they live in servitude to their possessions and position. You must carry the light to many, but few will be those who light the lamp of their lives from it. Do not covet riches, for though few men possess them, all who do are not free, but are themselves possessed by their wealth. Because riches are the possession of a few, all seek them. Even so are my words. Were they possessed by all? Even so are my words. Were they possessed by all? None would value them. That's absolutely huge.
So it says the fewer people that have it, the more it's valued because they want it.
Yeah, and I watched this TV show years ago, and it had these. It was like this thing called Shark Tank, and it was all these Satanists. They're all a bunch of rich Satanists, and they all sit there and people pump their ideas. And one of the Satanist guys goes, he's like, the thing about money is it has no emotions. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about anything. It cares about that it's in you. It's in a control, right? And these guys, when they listen to their money, and that's all that they are trying to do is protect their wealth. And that is what anybody with wealth does, is they're always protecting their wealth. They're always reinvesting. They're always throwing this stuff out there. And when you could see back in 2008, we had all these commercial banksters. When everything crashed, you had people jumping off the top of roofs literally every single day. In 2008, you had all these banksters that said it was over, and they took their chairs and wheeled them up to the top roof and just jumped off the roof because everything was so bad. It happened over and over and over, right? Their wealth is gone, their money is gone, their power is gone. And it's like the one guy in Scriptures that he was like, well, I can't dig ditches, I can't do any of this, and so he went and he ripped off the master, and in the end, he got rewarded for it. But that's the thing about wealth is those who get it work so hard to protect it, and so that becomes their life. 19. One said to Yahushua, Master, we are not all like Yochanan, who could surely eat bread made with sand. Is there no easy way? Yahushua said, the only easy paths in life lead nowhere, or are cut by others. But the path I point can be cut by none but yourselves. Okay, that's a huge statement right there, right?
He says we have to find life ourselves.
Right, and if you guys are even here in this table, if you're looking for an easy life, any one of you guys at this table, if you think there's going to be an easy life, or you think there's a free handout, or you think of anything, I don't ever have to tell you anything other than what Messiah says right here, right? The only paths in life lead nowhere, right? Or are cut by others. That's the way. In the world that we live into, you either lead or get out of the way, right? You either cut your own path. When, here in our clan, a boss clan, look at what we're doing with Scriptures, right? There was nobody else. There's no place online that I know of anywhere that you can go online and read the Scriptures with restored names, Hebrew names. We are forging this path. We're taking out our machetes and we're cutting it through this field. There was no path. And so it's not easy. And we've been sitting here, our eyes are all like dried, or my fingers hurt, we're popping back and forth, but we're going to get these Scriptures done, and we're never going to stop. But it's not an easy way. And so it's something that is not cut by others. And Messiah says, clearly, if you're looking for an easy way out, that's not it. 20. A peddler going from place to place is willing to undergo the hardships incurred through his wandering in order to earn his livelihood. Even so, you should be prepared to cheerfully accept the hardships imposed by life in order to gain glory in the life which follows. Huge thing again, right? If you guys are sitting here crying about little itty bitty things and you guys are not being tried in your life and there's nothing there, you're here to get these problems. You're here to deal with these hardships as part of your resume. Everything you're doing is being recorded on the scrolls up in the Shamayim. Everything, sins, goodness, all of it. It's being recorded that we will have to figure this out and we will have to have this replayed. And so when we are uncheerfully accepting the hardships imposed by life, that will be on the heavenly scroll. That's why every single day you need to get up and you need to put a smile on, you need to put your best foot forward, and you need to put your everything that you have into life and to bring this to fruition, because there is no easy path and there's no other way out of it. You have to be strong in everything you do and accept the bad with the good, right? There is bad and there is good, and you have to accept both those. And if you can't, then you're only sitting there wishing upon the good, and you become a depressed moron when you're like, oh, it's all bad, it's all bad, it's all bad. Well, you're failing your resume. You're failing your afterlife when you cannot find the good of this life and be happy with when bad is happening to us. That's what Messiah is saying. If a child is not raised with austerity, can enjoy the pleasures of later life, only the foolish parent overindulges the child. And if it is done in the name of affection, the parent is either a hypocrite or irresponsible. And this is absolutely a life lesson. If you're sitting here giving your children everything that they have, by the time that they are 16 and 19 years old, they will want things that they absolutely should never, ever had because they thought they had everything, right? And that is the problem. When you give your kids absolutely everything, there is no limit to the world that they have, and there is no stopping them, and they will never be happy with the world that they have at all. And so parents, be very, very careful. When your kid's begging you for those toys in the store, it's better to say no. It's better to never give them this kind of stuff. It's better to give them hugs. It's better to give them your time. It's better to give them your affection. It's better to any of that. Don't give them toys, and don't give them a babysitter like that. It kills them in the end. 22. Now, close by there was a well, and the disciples were drawing water for drinking. Yahushua called them over and said, "Do you find the water refreshing?" They replied, "Yes, we have drunk our fill and are refreshed." Yahushua said, "Does any water remain in the well?" They replied, "Master, this well is inexhaustible and cannot be drunk dry by any number of men." Then Yahushua said, "It is even so with my teachings. What I have revealed so far is but a small portion of the whole, yet it suffices for the present needs. The people among whom we are preserved, the people who we go are perverse and headstrong, and like a thirsting donkey can be given only sufficient to ease their pressing need. If they say to you, 'This is beyond our understanding,' or 'You have told us only in part,' recall this well and the refreshing water you obtained from it." Okay, so Messiah was talking very clearly at certain points. You don't need the entire book to figure things out.
Right.
You need the pieces of it, and what he gave people was enough to get things going.
This reminds me a lot of when he's talking to the Samaritan woman. He's like, "I'll give you the water of life.
Yeah,
You'll drink from it and you'll be thirsty again."
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of stories here with wells in Messiah's stuff. 24. One of the disciples asked, "How shall we judge what people do, whether it be good or whether it be bad?" Yahushua said, "If you are unsure whether a person's actions be good or bad, incline in his favor. If anything may be interpreted favorably or otherwise, then interpret it favorably. Do not seek for wrongdoing, like dogs chasing a foul smell. If a good man does something appearing to be bad, then withhold judgment, wondering whether there be some good motive behind it, yet do not be easily hoodwinked. If one with a bad reputation does something seemingly good, question his motives. But bear in mind that no man is either wholly good or wholly evil." All right, somebody explain that right there, because that's a life lesson right here.
So basically, he said that if you are looking for people doing bad at all times, right? If someone does something good and you're looking for bad, you're doing something wrong. You're like a dog going to a foul smell. You're like a raven going to a corpse, right? It doesn't do anybody any good. It's just a terrible thing to sit there and look for bad in people when they are trying to do good. But he said, if you need to be cautious of someone that is doing good, someone that you know is a bad person, someone that you know is a person outside of Torah, someone you know that has a record of being bad at doing something good. You need to be cautious of that, but do not judge them immediately because you do not know what their intentions are.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how to make this story without bringing us into fruition on all of this stuff, because this house has a problem with that, right? Whether a person's doing good or bad, we want to find the person that's doing bad. We want to toss them under the bus, right? It doesn't matter. Eli's slow or this or that or something like here, right? We don't even know. We're simply judging based upon old performance or something of the sort, and it's not right, right? We've already judged a man for the next day, and he hasn't done it. But then at the same time, it also says that if a guy has a bad reputation, which, you can look in the book of Proverbs, and, you don't want to hang out with those people. You hang out with people of bad reputations, it's like the Yah Scriptures. You end up with a whole bunch of thugs and a whole bunch of criminals, and they've all hung out together, and they're obviously all criminals. Okay, 26. Yahushua said, "Fortify yourselves with the knowledge of truth, as I have imparted it to you. Rejoice in the knowledge that you stand within its everlasting light." Okay, we're talking about truth, right? Fortify yourself with the knowledge of truth. And it has a capital T for truth, right? What is the truth?
Torah.
The Torah. That's the only truth that we have, right? And it says, rejoice in the knowledge that you stand within its everlasting light. The everlasting light of the Torah is the blessings that come with it. It is as well as the curses as well. There's everlasting, all sorts of stuff with it. And so when we are following the Torah, we have found the truth. If we don't have the Torah, then we don't have the truth. If you only have the Messiah Yahushua, but you don't have the Torah, then you have not found the truth. And it's going to, your soul will depart from you. 27. The disciple said, "Master, we are grateful for what you give us. We know each of us is a part of the everlasting Ruach. We have truly found truth and see it more clearly than others. We are the children of the light and of the Ruach, even as we are children of the Father. None of us can ever repay you, for we have been given treasure beyond riches. Only the Heavenly Father can provide proper recompense for your labors among men." At this time, Yahushua was teaching his disciples at a place apart, for he was still wary of the people. But he and the disciples went among them to earn their bread. It's very interesting. It's very interesting that he says that went among them to earn their bread, right?
Were they like physically doing work?
I think they were ministering to people, right? They were taking care of people, and that's how they're earning their bread is by ministering in that way. 29. Yahushua healed many, but to his disciples he said, "I have not come to strengthen the bodies of men, but the Ruach. For if man is wholesome in Ruach, he is wholesome in body. It is better to treat the man, than the disease." Okay, this is hardcore stuff right here, guys. I mean, this is...
So he says better basically to save the soul and the body.
Yeah, and that's why he was probably talking about some people didn't get healed, right? It had nothing to do with their soul. Whether or not he healed them and they went off and like celebrated the ball or something, right? That wasn't what the point is. The point is getting us closer to our Creator. Okay, 30. One day a disciple returning from his labor said to Yahushua, "Master, we work all day and scarcely sleep at night. Yet when we tell of your teachings, we are abused and mocked by the people. Where is the benefit in this? Should we not be treated otherwise?" Yahushua said, "When I was a boy, the poor would gather about my mother's door, for she always had an extra loaf in the oven for them. One day a beggar, having been fed often and now perhaps considering it his entitlement, found fit to scold her. For this day she was not well, and therefore slow. She, not being used to this, began to weep." Ooh, he just took on Messiah's mom.
That's not good.
"So I say unto you, do not let the talk of thoughtless tongue perturb you, for this is only a foretaste of what is to come. These things are a refining process of the Ruach. Therefore rejoice for the benefit rather than sorrow for the hurt." Huge stuff, man. These are things that people need to etch onto their bodies. We need to etch this onto our minds and to our souls. We run into this all the time. In this house, we run into it. We don't feel grateful for something that happens, or somebody didn't say thanks, or something of the sort, or this happens in life all the time, right, as well. Eli, will you please pet the dog? You can, so he stops scratching my legs. I don't know if I can bleed enough here before this is over.
I've tried.
Okay, yeah. And so this is a huge thing, right? Absolutely huge. People with a, how do you say it? Thoughtless tongue. That is a thoughtless tongue. And, I hate to say that happens around here quite a bit, but we do have a thoughtless tongue, and we say things that should not be happening. 33. For when my mother cried, I said to her, "Dry your eyes and be happy, for now you can perform your charitable acts to perfection. Had those who stood about the door praised you, the deed would have been less worthy. having been done for their praise and therefore not entirely out of charity. Many do good works because it increases their self-esteem. But charity is not giving the bone to a hungry dog, but giving the meat when hungry yourself. Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing that he had that kind of insight to tell his mother, dry your eyes and be happy, for now you can perform your charitable acts of perfection. See, that's the thing is people will sit there and serve in the food line forever and ever and ever, and somebody will come up there and bust them and make them feel really bad, and they'll never come back there and do it again. And if we're looking for, Eli, will you please hold the dog's tail as well? If you're looking for praise and you're looking for all of this stuff, maybe you can move over that way and get the dogs over there. Okay, hold on real quick. All right, so let's continue on. Moving on. 33. Andrew said to Yahushua, if we give all we have to the poor, then they will grow fat and slothful, preferring a life of beggary to one of toil. That's one way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard that before. People are like, well, if we give the hungry money for food, they'll just go buy drugs. I've heard that before over and over. I don't know how many people have literally said that. And people were like, because if you go to the Yahoo and the Torah website, you can look at the donation page and you can donate. And what we have for donating is that you can go out and you go find somebody who needs a giant hug and give them a big hug, right? And give them a big hug. And then we had people that came back and like, well, we can't do that because one time, somebody went and they bought drugs with it or something of the sort. And, that's the first thing is people think that, the guy on the street is going to take drugs over a piece of bread when you're starving to death. And I don't believe that is true. Okay, let's continue on. 35. Yahushua said, charity is a giving hand to a blind man or soothing the wounds of those smitten by the Ruach, strengthening sword of life. It is good to help those in distress or those who cannot help themselves. But sometimes giving does more harm than good. Many give because it eases their conscience or raises their self-esteem. Such giving is not goodness. But when giving entails self-sacrifice, then it is better to give than to receive. For the benefit lies in the sacrifice made and not in the thing bestowed. So
it basically says give when it doesn't make you feel good. Give it when it's not convenient.
Give the meat off your table, right? When it's taken out of your hands, when it makes you uncomfortable, that is when you need to give.
Right? When you're not ready, like when your table's full and you have that extra plate and you give it, you need to give out when you have nothing on your plate and you have some help. You need to give out what you have. And that's the sacrifices. And this is amazing words from our Creator's Son. 36. A rich man was going away, so he gave a purse of silver to each of his two servants, so they could keep themselves while he was away. One servant spent the money on merchandise, which he hawked around the city, and by being thrifty was able to recover the silver with sufficient over to buy a stall, and then a shop. When the master returned, he said to this man, such efforts should not go unrewarded, and made him a gift of the silver. The other servant, having the purse of silver, began to spend it on pleasure and a life of ease. So when the master returned, there was nothing left. This angered the master after seeing how hard the other had toiled. So he demanded repayment of the silver, and when this could not be done, enslaved the man. The improvident servant was unable to understand why the other has been given a gift of freedom, a gift and freedom, while he was enslaved for being unable to repay. Why he who has money was given more. Yet I say to you, this is the way of the Father, who gives trusteeship of earth's bounty to his children. Likewise, they are given talents of spiritual gold, which are greater than any earthly silver. But these many choose to bury in the ground. For them, the day of accounting must surely come. So all right. I think it's like a thing on earth. If you get eternal life, we get the Torah, and we work for it, and we teach the people, and we build up a people with the Torah. And then we're going to get freedom. But if we take this word and just like live how we want to live with it, go on a Sunday worship, we eat pork, then we're gonna be judged. And we're not going to have that freedom. We're sent to show. Yeah, and spiritual gold. I mean, this is what we're looking at. If you're looking for something of value, then we have spiritual gold, right? There's nothing more valuable than saving our soul, saving our spirit. Okay, and so this is very, very interesting. Again, this Messiah is just really putting out some amazing stuff. Okay, 39. Yahushua tarried along beside the waters, moving from place to place and teaching his disciples according to their understanding. Some were like strong, well-plastered cisterns holding water without leaking a drop. Others could not retain all that was poured into them. Yahushua taught each only in accordance with his capacity, and some carried much more of his teachings than others. One day at eventide, Yahushua said, because you are weary and your task seems endless, do not despair.
What you do may be likened to a man down by the shore whose master has set him the task of carrying water from the sea to fill a hole in the sand. The sea flows no less, neither does the land become flooded. When the master comes, the man says to him, "This is a fruitless task to which I can see no end." And the master replies, "It is one which grows easier with time, and each day you are paid." Two men, finding favor in the eyes of a king, were promised high positions in a distant city, but had to find their own way. They set off together and stayed the first night at an inn where there were many attractions. One man spent the night in drinking and merriment. The other, finding an experienced traveler who knew the road, kept the night in his company. The second man learned that by going a particular way, he would avoid a thick forest full of wild beasts. A turning would lead him away from a swamp and others from a precipice and thorny thickets. He went to bed and woke early, feeling refreshed, and went his way. The other man, being heavy-headed and sluggish, started late in the day. The early starter, heeding all that he had been told, came quickly to the city and enjoyed his rewards. The other became lost in the forest and was wounded by wild beasts. He wandered through swamps and fell down the precipice to die of weariness among the thickets. Now the thick forest is ignorance. The swamps are delusions. The precipice, the carnal desires which lure men to spiritual disaster, and the thorny thickets, tribulation and suffering, without which development is impossible. The experienced traveler is a discipline of the light, and the man who reaches the city, one who listens to him. Okay, huge things here, guys.
Basically, if you listen to the person who is wise in the Torah, who has had experience in the Bible, then you're gonna be able to walk through a path a little easier than you would if you were the other guy that didn't listen and just like fell down in the swamp.
Yeah, you'll know which direction to go, and that is the problem without having the Torah. You don't know the laws of our Creator, which means you are going to be falling into iniquity all the time because you just don't know, and that not knowing is on you. It's not on anyone else, because you know how to read. If you're listening to this video, you know how to hear. You know how to find videos, so you can definitely read scriptures as well. 44. The disciples said, "Master, many people hear our words, but how many take them to heart and benefit? We are trying to bail out the sea with a shell." Yahushua said, "Then you are learning patience and persistence in a good school. If a cloak is placed around a shivering man, his body becomes warm and is comforted. But if it is placed around a boulder, there is neither effect nor response. Though I have told you the days fly as though carried on the wings of swallows. Do not act as though the day's labor is all important and must be completed within the day. Doing this, you become less able to perform the task. For he who tries to reach out over the edge of his limitations falls into a pit and achieves nothing." That comes across here at this house, right? A lot of this stuff, right? Everything that happens here is everyone thinks they have to do this. It's all got to be this 1 second. I got to do this. I got to learn this education. I got to do this. Everything. It becomes a point of almost insanity in this house, and that's the only lesson that we have for this, is that it happens on all. Everybody becomes very we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, and it's just got to be done. And again, it's not healthy. Yaakov the disciple said, "If a man of unlimited wealth says, 'Come and count silver pieces from sunrise to sunrise, and all the pieces counted will be yours,' could the man counting be expected to sleep during the night?" Yahushua replied, "A man having much wealth is unlikely to do anything without purpose, and this would be in the counting. Could you count silver pieces from sunrise to sunrise and not make an error?" Yahushua.
Yeah, all night long, he's really tired.
He's really smart. Yahushua said, "Let none among you take the hand grips of my plow unless he is prepared to grasp them firmly and cut a deep furrow. Let none of you walk behind it unless prepared for weariness and sweat. There is no easy way for a plowman. The field is there, and he must cultivate it furrow by furrow. If he is careless, the grain yield will be poor." And most people in the world these days, like 99% of the people, have never ever pulled a plow. You have the farmers that will do it, but they don't pull them by hand like they used to do, or any of the stuff. And I mean, they even by hand, but they saddled up the oxen and they pulled them behind the oxen. So most people don't understand what that means. We have a heavy duty Ducati oxen that we use, and we furrow our things with it. And you absolutely have to hold on to it, and you have to work it. And if you do it really like a weak job, then you don't do a good job at all. It's terrible. And so this is very, very important that you know there's no easy way to do this, and that's the same for life. There's absolutely no easy way to run through life and to get ahead. And that's what Messiah said. If it's easy, it's not right. Okay, water drawn from the ground or falling from the sky will produce burning weeds and grass. But to produce bread and to eat and wine to drink, water from the brows of men must be added. Yet labor is not without its own reward. For the man who labors all day sleeps contentedly, even though his pillow is a stone. While the sluggard sleeps without content, even though he lie down on a pillow of down. Wow, that essentially says if you're lazy, that's why if you don't sleep at night, you haven't worked hard enough during the day, is essentially what that is. And that is for everything, right? If you're sleeping well at night, unless you have 10 dogs, this is what yet more stuff from our Messiah that is, these are life lessons that we are trying to do. And so if you're a sluggard, don't expect a lot. I guess you have a sound night's sleep, but, I guess you don't even have a sound night's sleep, even if you have a good down pillow. All right, what do you guys make of this?
A lot of interesting words you don't usually hear. It's a different side of Messiah. It gives you a different perspective on who he is and kind of what he was like.
Yeah, absolutely. We learn a whole new side of our Messiah.
Seems like he's more, back in the Gospel, it seems like he's not he's a very standoffish person. He's not very go to talk to people much. But here he seems like he's a very people person.
Yeah, it does. It gives us a lot of qualities of him. It sounds like he doesn't talk a lot, but he does talk a lot around his people, or he's slow to speak when he thinks about what he says.
Right, he didn't immediately go to the crowd.
Which is exactly what the world should be, right? If none of us spouted off right out of the gate, then the evil of what we would say would not be there. So if we were all slow to speak, it actually said things of value instead of things that are going to have our soul get hurt, that would probably be the best way to do it. All right, guys, so that is it. Tomorrow is a Shabbat, and so we will see you guys live, Yah willing, and that's it. So much love from all of us to you.
All right, shalom.